There is another story that is percolating around the sports world and the football world in particular. It involves an embattled head coach. Now, you've been paying attention here. Do you know where I'm going with this? Maybe you do not. That would be none other than Lions head man Matt Patricia, one of the fat coaches in the NFL. We don't have too many of those guys, but Matt Patricia is under attack. A number of former Detroit players have unloaded on their former boss in recent days. If you've seen this, the latest is former Lions safety Glover Quinn. He was the one that laid in at the end of last week to the arrogant Matt Patricia, ripping his attitude, his persona, his arrogance, things like that, according to Quinn, that made people not really want to buy into it. That was the disconnect, according to the now former Lions safety Glover Quinn. He gets in line behind a number of other former Lions players who have also said inflammatory things about Matt Patricia. Quinn also claimed that in the past that Patricia's Patriots attitude has caused Detroit to regress over the years that Patricia has been there. Now, that led to Lions general manager Bob Quinn, another former Patriot guy, to run and defend his coach, standing by, bunkering down in the Matt Patricia category. You can go ask anybody in the locker room right now. This is a quote. You can go ask anybody in the locker room right now what they think of Coach and how he runs the team, and they're 100% behind him, close quote, from Bob Quinn, the general manager of the Lions. So let us discuss the question, are the Lions just simply not able to handle a strict disciplinarian type coach, or is Matt Patricia a douche and he's really the problem here with the Lions? Now, I'm going to actually hold off on saying Patricia is just a complete douche. I don't know the guy, and I've always stood by the fat coach. I've always had the fat coach's back. So I'm going to go with the first part. All right. Now, my thoughts, you've got, number one, you've got human nature, you've got funerals and wakes, and you also have political theater. And we will tie all these things together, and we'll make some baba ganoush. Now, Matt Patricia, let's start with this. He is trying to do the hardest thing in sports, which is to turn a dumpster fire into a palace, right? You know, most people see a dumpster, it smells, it's disgusting, and you're like, I want nothing to do with it. But to turn that into a mansion, and that's essentially what you're asked to do if you're coaching a morbid NFL franchise, a notoriously bad group of misfits, and you've got to coach them into a model franchise. And see, here's the argument I make about all these teams in sports, whether it's football, baseball, basketball. Finding good players is not the hard part. And I've said this for years. Every year, the draft, we got the draft coming up on Thursday. There are going to be a ton of blue chip players, guys who come out in the first, second round of the draft who are built like Adonis and run like the wind. It's getting those players on the same page that is the issue, right? Let's just say it like it is here. Many players are not eager to buy into the dogma. They want the check that comes in the NFL, but they don't want to deal with this. Just like at your job, this is where human nature comes in, right? This is why I say human nature is a part of this. It's no different than, I work in the radio business, and I see people all the time in radio that don't approach it the right way. They think, it's only radio. There's no cameras here and all that. And so they're like, I'm just going to kind of go through the motions a little bit. And it shows. Eventually those people are exposed, and they don't last very long in the business. But in sports, you get paid a lot of money. It's a great gig and all that stuff. But human nature, right? If you look at the 6 basic characteristics of human nature, and they have studied human beings since human beings have been around, they all look at each other. We all look at each other and examine us. The number one trait of human nature is laziness, right? We are all designed the same way, to take the easy road. We learn early on that a straight line is the shortest distance between 2 points, right? It takes a special group to follow a maniacal teacher like Patricia, who is just the disciple of Bill Belichick, and these Belichick disciples have not done very well in the NFL, unless you think Bill O'Brien is the shining example of success with the Houston Texans. So that whatever it takes rallying cry when you have a track record is one thing, but when you don't have a track record, it doesn't work. Hell, it almost didn't work for Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick was on thin ice, and if Drew Bledsoe had not been injured against the Jets and Tom Brady had not come in, Belichick could have been fired by mid-season that year and would have never had the Patriot way to fall back on. But if you're just the right-hand man to the evil genius, which is what Matt Patricia is until proven otherwise, as he is learning on the job, it falls on deaf ears. Now, part B of this, Matt Patricia only knows how to do things from Belichick. By all accounts, listen, I'm not around the guy, but by everyone who is around him, he follows the mantra and the way it is and the way it has been with the New England Patriots. He was groomed at the school of Belichick. Flexibility is not a virtue. And Matt Patricia's favorite song is a classic tune from the late 1960s. In fact, number one hit at funerals and wakes ever since then. Right? That's right. Frank Sinatra's My Way.
Who?
That's a class. Oh, Blue Eyes. Everyone knows Old Blue Eyes.
Never heard of them.
You're not a historian of music. It's a bad job by you. So if Matt Patricia doesn't see results in 2020, and by most accounts, unless the Lions have an amazing breakthrough in the draft, good luck. He will be having his own coaching memorial service, and the Lion coaching staff, they've got to approach this season in biblical terms like the Last Supper, because it is the Last Supper as coach of the Lions. And if things go the way they are expected to go in 2020, and if the Lions do not catch lightning in a bottle, then Matt Patricia and all of his assistant coaches there will be back knocking on Daddy Bill's door and trying to get a job back in Foxborough on the Patriots coaching staff. All right, last word here. So I want to go back to the GM, Bob Quinn, who used some weasel language in defending his head coach. And let me put this under the microscope. That's what we do here in Sports Talk Radio. We put things under the microscope. And I want you to understand why Bob Quinn, the GM of the Lions, used Weasley language. Quinn said, I want to give you the quote again. All right, if you're new to the party, let me give you the quote. This is the Lions GM. He said, you can go ask anybody in the locker room right now what they think of Coach and how he runs the team, and they're 100% behind him. Close quote. Now, on the surface, this is absolutely true. Right? This is absolutely true. But as they say in boxing parlance, on a technicality, it is a matter of no importance. If you go and ask anybody in the locker room right now, yes, I agree that everyone will support Matt Patricia when a microphone is shoved down their throat and a camera is put in front of their face. But you have, just like in the political theater, you have the public and private position. Publicly, the Lions players are going to endorse and stand with Matt Patricia. Otherwise, they'll end up in the gulag and be endangered and certainly most likely to be traded or released. And you say, well, maybe that's what they want. Why not? I would say not, because it's better the devil you know than the devil you don't know. And privately, many of these guys, though, if you take the private position, despise the draconian practices, the sourpuss attitude. It is an acquired taste. It's an acquired taste. And when they are moved, that's when they unload. Right? Just like at your job. If you have a boss that sucks, that whatever you're doing, right? You're working at a grocery store and your boss is bugging you. You're driving a truck. You got somebody that just says you're not getting there fast enough. You got to do better. Whatever it might be. We all got people in our lives that annoy us. And as soon as that boss is gone, then you just can unload and be honest, right? That's how it works. But Matt Patricia, he is so desperately trying to recreate the New England Patriots that he has been adding expatriate after expatriate after expatriate. He is trying to get as many believers as he can get. Unfortunately, It is a mathematical impossibility for Matt Patricia to last long enough to turn the entire 53-man roster into Kool-Aid drinkers, blind zombies. It's an impossibility. So even though they are trying, and the draft, they're going to fill up the roster with some draft picks this week, and they've done that for the last couple of years, and eager beavers, if you will, with free agent moves as well. The Lions continue to inch forward, but they don't need to inch forward if Patricia's going to keep his job. They have to take leaps and bounds. They've got to leap over cars and buildings for Matt Patricia to stick around.